Termites, subterranean termites, nasty little pests. They could be doing major structural damage to your home, and you may not even know about it. This is Marco Vogt from www.houseinvestigations.com. The easiest way to find out if you have them is in the springtime. You will see what appears to be flying ants. Now, there is a difference between carpenter ants, the reproductive, and the reproductive termite. They're about the same size, but the difference is when you look at them, the termites, they have the wings, and all four wings are the same size, whereas the carpenter ant reproductive has two different size wings. And if they're gone, you can actually see these little wings around your windows and look at them. Two different sizes. You've got carpenter ants, all the same. You've got termites. Then if you actually see them, the termite's got a straight body compared to a carpenter ant that's got a rounded body, three different parts. And also the termite has the two antennae on the head. They're straight compared to the carpenter ant that has curved antennae. The subterranean termite is pale, about a 1/4 inch. These are the workers, and they live in the ground. They need moisture. They basically eat wood, paper, cardboard, cellulose, furniture, and much more. They love boxes and garages, and they must move in moist mud tunnels, or also known as shelter tubes. Basically, the life cycle of a termite: the queen can lay thousands of eggs. The eggs are tended by worker termites. The nymphs hatch from the egg. Attendants feed nymphs. They regurgitate food for several weeks. The nymphs become soldiers, workers, reproductives, or supplementary reproductives. The termite probably does a lot more damage than the other wood-boring insects, which would be carpenter ants, powder post beetles, and carpenter bees. And so usually you'll first see the subterranean termite near the ground, or damages near the ground, because they have to live in the ground. They don't live in your house, they live in the ground, and they need to go up into your house. There's no damage to the wood. It's almost hard to see unless you could actually see these mud shelter tubes or tunnels. Generally they're in the wood. You don't see them unless you poke the wood, and then it sometimes breaks apart. When you break apart the wood, you look in the wood and you'll actually see like mud in the wood, and you'll see these galleries, and they're pretty picky eaters. When they go through the wood, they will actually eat the spring wood first. The spring wood is the wood in the tree that grows quick in the spring, and then summer, winter, it grows slower, and the wood becomes harder. This is why when we do termite investigations, we'll see that some of the joists are damaged and others aren't. And it could be that they didn't like those joists. They could have had oil in them, or those joists were in the center of the log, and it was a lot harder. Termites like moist, wet conditions. So if you have like leaking doors, defective windows, defective doors, crawl spaces that aren't properly conditioned, and there's moisture or condensation, these are desirable areas, and you really need to get into these areas to look, especially a crawl space, because sometimes you're lucky and you can see the mud tunnels going up the insides of the brick. Sometimes you're real lucky and you see the mud tunnels outside, which is rare, but it's great if you see them outside, because now you know you got to hurry up and treat the house. Other times you're not so lucky, and the termites, these guys are pretty smart too. The mud tunnels are in the masonry block, so they're underneath the house, and they come up through the block, through the holes in the masonry. They go up into the sill plate and then work their way up through the house that way, and that's a little bit tougher to notice. Some signs might be a spongy floor, deteriorated base molding, cracks developing in walls because the walls are starting to compress, because maybe the sill plates are being eaten out. Cracks in the wall, floors becoming unlevel, maybe the beam is being eaten out and slowly compressing underneath the columns. And so you want to really look for these guys. Once you find them, really treatment should be done by a professional. Professionals are licensed. They know how to remove and eradicate these problems. They know how to store and properly disperse chemicals around your property. There are different ways. One way might be application of termiticides in or around the house. Another way may be the baiting system. Dow Chemical does have a very effective system. You need to be licensed to put these systems in. Regardless of the system you choose, you need to remove the termites. You need to stop the damage. They can destroy your home. They can devaluate your home. They can make things no longer function, like windows and doors. And who wants to buy your home if it has termite damage? Thank you for visiting. This is Marco Vogt from www.houseinvestigations.com. That's www.houseinvestigations.com. Thank you.